So this is the entrance to bay number 5. You come down these slope or steps, find it buried, turn right and duck. I'm not actually sure why it says to duck, because it's pretty tall. So then we go into bay 5, got a chemical toilet on the floor, and then these guys. Undoubtedly these were painted during the Blitz. Presumably there was a particularly talented painter who was assigned to this shelter bay, and he did portraits of the people who were sheltering with him. And we can see that a lot of them have initials as well. I think it's safe to assume those are the person's initials. And so, a couple of years ago, shame about this, some kids recently gone in, there's some much crappier artwork. So this lady here, I've now identified as Ursula Lois Forshaw. She was living in Crosby at the outbreak of the war. She only young, last time she was 19. And I found records to suggest she was in the women's RAF. So the odds are she was working in the Littlewoods building with the women's RAF. The rest are still unknown, although some of them are going to be potentially easier to identify. JDLT. It's quite unusual. If we can find someone with initials that match that, and match them to the right area, the right place, the chances are we can identify her positively. Same with this lady. IAMG. I believe this may be Irene Agnes Mabel Gray, but I need to do some more research into that to find out for sure. So, what would this have been like to... Well, you wouldn't sleep in this shelter. You can see along the walls here, we've got the remnants of the benches that lined all the walls either side. The benches themselves are gone. You can see the holes where the posts support them, and then all these bits of wood sticking out of the concrete. So as well as that, in two corners of the shelter you've got toilet facilities. Hello ladies, sorry to disturb you. So this would have been a toilet cubicle here with a wall divided into two, with two very basic Elsan chemical toilets, which are just a bucket filled with some smelly chemicals. No privacy here. And then you've got escape hatches as well. So if the entrance to the shelter was badly hit, you had an emergency way out. So you've got the toilet cubicle in that corner. I think we've actually got another one here. You can see the line there, it's filled with water where the dividing wall was. Some of them further into the shelter still have the wall between them. You can also see the wooden things for a door, or some kind of privacy curtain. What else can we see? Up here you can see cable room. We found a few electric light fittings. So they would have been wired with basic lighting as well. What is this? Wartime. LA. Is it lad or lap? It's drawn in pencil. It's very hard to know if this is something that someone has come along and done themselves in the dark years later, or if it's an original from the wartime. The style of the drawing does remind me of a lot of World War II era cartoons, to be fair. I've just noticed these tags every so often along the walls. I haven't figured out the purpose of these yet. Baltic clamp on the floor. You can see the drains. Quite a substantial drainage system. This one's a bit clogged. And then that runs to a sump in the middle. And these drains are still working. You can tell this because the place where the drain isn't working, one of those tags, the place where the drain isn't working is flooded quite deep. Then another interesting feature is on the ceiling. We've got some sort of graffiti burned in with a lighter, by the look of it. At least one of them is dated 1942. But I've also seen one that says Elvis East, which strikes me as a lot later than the war. I don't think we've got any positive way of knowing, because these tunnels were left. A lot of kids would have played in these in the 50s and 60s, people would have hung out. I've heard from one or two ex-Littlewoods employees that people went and smoked in them secretly. So we don't know what's from the war, what's post-war. So we've got another toilet cubicle here and another emergency escape. So there are actually 4 sets of 2 toilets in each shelter bay, and there were 15 of these. I've just been around one of them so far. So you can see these ladies probably either worked in Littlewoods or worked for the forces working in that building. Little sketch there. I think that's new. Some local chaps have been adding to the artwork. I might be pissed off at this. We might take the piss out of the graffiti, but perhaps in 100 years someone will find this shelter again and they'll be like, wow, look at this weird 21st century graffiti. There we go, 2 more chemical toilets. Sometimes, whoops, that was very archaeological of me. You can see quite clearly the Elsan Company logo. Now then, so we're in a corner of a bay here, we're looking sort of downwards, and then to the left here, this is going to the entrance. And again, if we go to the other side, it's just a big rectangle really. If we go to the other side, we've got another entrance here. This one has been blocked up, so this has a number on it as well. Turn right and duck number 4. This is bay number 4 to the right. And this pattern continues all the way through the shelter. So if we were to go around this one, oh lovely, you can still see some of the wooden bench posts there as well, very nice. Another toilet block. So if we continue our little adventure onwards, another escape hatch. These have just been sealed up by putting metal over the top of them. Okay. So we should be getting on to entrance number 2, to bay 2. Turn right and duck again. And the pattern continues to bay 1 in that direction. And if we keep going in this direction, we'll hit bay 15, which is full of piled up old toilets. Here we go, got a nice light fixture there. British patent, number 338117, British make. Guess that's Bakelite. Can't believe I'm the kind of person who gets excited about light fittings now. What has my life become? So here we got, this one's been blocked up, this emergency escape shaft's been blocked up with a big green panel with some numbers on it. I'd love to figure out what that means. The colour of the panel, the green, is a bit like the old Liverpool trams and buses, so no. A scrounge spare part perhaps. Okay. Someone's had fun in here. You can see some more of this lighter graffiti. There's a lot more of that. Whereas only one of the 15 bays has the portraits in it. And then the actual entrances themselves, we've got quite a steep entrance down. I suspect there would have been steps, which are now buried under this rubble that's been used to fill it. Steps, possibly a slope, and then we've got some wooden bits there, which either would have been sort of doors or a gas curtain, or both. Still figuring all the details out, but this is a completely standard design, really. So sometime probably the 60s onwards, they've tried to block it up and they've they've used metal and rubble to sort of just chuck down all the holes, all the entrances, try and seal it up. But the thing is that these shelters were very, very commonplace. Pretty much every city had a bunch of these in their parks. The thing that makes this special is simply this: it's human. I've shown people photos of it and I've taken videos like this, but it's really hard to describe how eerie it is to be down here seeing these faces. This lady died in 1980 something. If this is the person I think it is, same hair. They're gone now, but their faces are still down here, preserved as they were in 1940, 1941. That just blows my mind. The other thing that blows my mind is how on earth there's a footprint all the way up the wall here. I don't know what someone was doing there. So yeah, the condition of these isn't too bad. You can see the roof is lovely, perfectly straight. After 80 years, the concrete is tough. It was designed to handle a lot more than a few centimetres of earth on top of it. Further down the shelter, some of the floor is cracked. I think the roots of the trees above have worked their way around. But it's solid. It would not have ever withstood a direct hit from a bomb, but it was more protection than most people would have. Well, to be honest, I don't think there's much more to say. Partly because I don't know that much about trench shelters, I'm no expert. We are now in number 6, back where we started, and I really do think if we were going to open this up in some way, this is where you come in. Look at that, it looks ready to go. You just remove those bits of metal and you've got yourself a nice slope in. All it would take is a proper structural survey to make sure it's safe and to remove any contaminants like asbestos and mould and things like that. Other than that, it would just be a case of clearing some of this rubble off the floor, which would never have been here during the war anyway. Giving it a little clean up and letting people see those faces for themselves. Anyway, that's me. Underground. It was nice talking to you.